What you're looking at right here is the Varla Eagle One version 2.0, a premium scooter with power for days with its dual 1000 watt motors. Let's unpack all that this powerhouse brings to the table in this review. Hello everyone and welcome to EBR. Make sure to subscribe for all things e-bike and yes, even for electric scooters too. One of the first products I remember having envy for was a Razor scooter back when I was a kid. The whole neighborhood had them and it was all I had on my birthday present wish list. And when the day came and my parents got me one, I was seldom going anywhere around the neighborhood without it. And I was no longer feeling any of that childhood FOMO. Only until my friend got an upgrade of a wheelie bar attachment at the back of his scooter did I get introduced to a new brand of jealousy, feature envy. We had essentially the same ride, but he wheelied with ease and man did I want it. For those like the childhood, or let's be real, the adult version of me, who want all the features on their products and are looking for an electric scooter, then let me introduce you to the Varla Eagle One version 2.0. This electric scooter is decked out top to tail with features galore, and I'll try to cover them all, but let me give you my top three. The big draw here will be the power and speed of the Eagle One's 2000 watt motors. With their peak capacity, you can push 3,600 watts, which is what helps this scooter reach speeds upwards of 40 miles per hour. And it'll climb seriously steep hills without breaking a sweat. Now, I've said that line in a review before, but this seriously reset the bar on our hellhole hill test. Now, not only is there plenty of muscle to this ride, but it has the option to toggle down to just one motor for those who will need an adjustment period to dual motor living. The second feature I want to highlight is the comfort and suspension you get both front and rear. If you're coming from a fully rigid ride on solid tires that you often find on the rental scooters around town, then you know how you can feel every seam in a sidewalk. This setup smooths out otherwise rough roads and even lends itself into off-road riding thanks to the tire tread. Lastly, there's what I'll call extra features that help the Eagle One hold its premium feel. It includes a NFC key for unlocking and using the ride, or even its ambient lighting system are nice as it's not a scooter that's power only, but there's some flashiness to it too that's practical yet feels like a bit of a flex. So those were the big highlights to me, but let's walk through all that you get on the Eagle One. I already mentioned the dual 1000 watt motors, and those run off of a very large 1082 watt hour battery that's housed in this 9-inch by 20-inch deck. The only bummer I found with the battery is it came with a 2 amp charger, so charging takes upwards of 10 hours. But there is a second charge port, so you can pick up another charger at checkout to essentially halve your charge time. The brakes that are included are hydraulic disc brakes with 160mm rotors, front and rear. The tires here are a 10 by 3.5 inch tubeless air tire instead of pneumatic ones. These are a fairly nice and rugged pair that offer great grip across varied terrain. The scooter does feature a collapsible stem for folding down to make it easier to store, and now it boasts an improved locking mechanism so it doesn't move around so much when folded. So let's move up to the cockpit where you have a swept-back 710mm handlebar. You get rubber grips on either side, brake levers, a thumb bell, and a 4-button control pad for adjusting your assistance level, toggling between single or dual motors, and operating the lights. And then of course here on the right side, you have your thumb throttle as well. Now the display is fairly large and easy to see. It's a color display. I found it a little hard to see in direct sunlight, but it does have that fun party trick I mentioned earlier of keeping your scooter locked until you tap it with the NFC card to get things started. Rounding up all the accessories, you get some nice small fenders for a little rain coverage, a headlight mounted up toward the handlebar, brake lights in the back, and the fun ambient light mode from either side of the deck pad. Last but not least, Varla says it can accommodate riders from 4'5" all the way up to 6'11" and carry a max payload of 330 pounds, but they do recommend 265 as the max for best performance. Well, I told you it's a scooter that lacks little in features, but let's take a look at how it did in our testing. Varla is going to grab attention with the Eagle One 2.0's speed capabilities, but does it also back it up with equally good brakes? To help answer that question, we brought the scooter up to 20 miles per hour, pulled the brakes, then measured the distance it took to stop. After 3 different trials for a clean average, we saw a stopping distance of 19 feet and 2 inches. Now, when we test e-bikes on this test, we hope to see things stop in no more than 25 feet, and anything sub 20 gets 2 thumbs up from us. I'm inclined to do the same here for this scooter, especially since it's hefty, weighing in at 83 pounds, because all that motor and battery don't make for the lightest bell at the ball. In a general sense, I think the braking is great. Hydraulic brakes feel like the appropriate call for handling the scooter's weight, and there's plenty of control when I needed to slow things down to simply navigate going into a curve. If you're looking at this scooter as a step up from riding others with slower top end speeds, then just make sure you get comfortable practicing your braking when exceeding something like 30 miles per hour. So to get a better sense of the speed and acceleration of the Eagle One 2.0, I took it on a speed test where I had set the max speed to 28 miles per hour. Let's see how it went. All right, so this is the speed test for the Eagle One version 2. So I do have it set to 28 miles per hour as the top speed. That's kind of my comfort limit, I'd say, with it. But we're gonna go PAS level by PAS level and kind of show you the speed differences. So right now I'm in PAS 1 with both motors, and I'm only going 3 miles per hour. I mean, it's pretty slow. I even gotta try to keep my balance on this level. But as we kick into PAS 2, good little surge ahead. You can really feel like both motors kick in, but it kind of jumps up to like 8 and 9, and then it's ready to just kind of hold and rest there. I think it's doing a pretty good job of maintaining and managing there. Kicking into PAS 3, and again, I've got the throttle engaged, like full thumb extension, up to 11 miles per hour. Again, I think it was a little bit more gradual that time. It lurched more from 1 to 2 than it did from 2 to 3. We go from 3 to 4. That was a good little like ramp up to the speed, going up to 17 miles per hour. Overall, like manageable. Now we'll see what happens when we go into the final one. Pedal assist 5. We're cooking now. I mean, you can see it launches me forward. It's holding about 27 miles per hour. I mean, it's really, really fast time. I mean, whew, you can, nothing really compares to all-wheel drive just in terms of like the acceleration and like its ability to hold that top speed. I mean, it just kind of like flies, and that's super fast, and it's a lot of fun. But go ahead and jump on the road now and do our kind of full send test, as it were. All right, so I've got the speed fully unlocked. Varla says I can hit upwards of 40 miles per hour on a full charge. We're at about 2/3 charge, but we'll see what I can do. Ready, set, go. Before I started the uphill portion of this road, I think I saw 37 miles per hour. I mean, this thing definitely flies. Wow. I thought it was really interesting to see the different speed intervals given the settings that I had it in. So to recap those results were 3 miles per hour in first gear, 9 miles per hour in second, 11 miles per hour in third, 17 miles per hour in fourth, then zooming ahead to 27 miles per hour in the final setting. Obviously, the distribution changes a bit if you keep it at the 40 miles per hour max that it ships as. And then of course, in that last clip you saw, I did fully open things up where it fell just shy of 40, but still hit a nice 37 miles per hour. As we get more into the analysis of the test, I want to talk about the general distribution and also the acceleration and control here. Aside from the second and third levels being a bit clustered, I appreciate the differences in the rest of the settings. They feel very well spaced for finding your groove. The interesting thing was the acceleration. It was a bit more gradual than I expected until you hit that final gear when it really bolts ahead. I found that exciting, but perhaps just a little too much in that setting. So keep that in mind if you're in the fifth, starting from a dead stop, as it will sprint ahead. If you're looking for speed, this ride has it in spades, and with the ability to toggle 1 or 2 motors and set your own speed, I think the speed profile breaks down nicely for most users' needs. Varla claims up to 42 miles of range depending on riding conditions. We conducted our own range test while keeping the Eagle One 2.0 to our local bike path's 20 mile per hour limit to see how close we could come to that mark. So with our 170-pound test rider using both motors, we were able to get 32.15 miles before the battery died, while climbing nearly 600 feet in elevation and holding a steady pace just over 20 miles per hour. Honestly, I thought this was a pretty solid result. Any product I've tested with dual motors can seriously drain a battery quickly. The 2,000 watts of nominal power of the Eagle One on a battery that's got 1,082 watt hours of capacity could have come up much shorter, and I wouldn't have been surprised. For those who are range conscious, you can switch the settings to one motor to draw less power from the battery to add extra mileage. Overall, I think the range here is pretty good, but there are a couple of areas that could improve on future models. I had already mentioned the long charge time, so I wouldn't mind a higher amp charger be included standard. And also, when riding with dual motors, the battery percent readout took us on a wild ride. I saw it drop by as much as 20% when pushing full power, only for 18% to be tacked back on as soon as I started to coast. Now, I'm sure it's hard for a prediction to be clear with so much power being drawn, but I got to a point where I knew better than to expect a ton of help from the battery display mid-ride, and I only checked it when I stopped or slowed down. It's something to hopefully improve on for Varla in the future, but as always, you can start to get a feel for your battery life with enough usage and experience, and just go conservative where needed. Varla made some bold claims when it comes to the hill climbing capabilities of the Eagle One 2.0, saying that it could climb grades up to 30%. So I was eager to see what it could do in climbing our test hill out at our local Hellhole Trail with its 12% grade over a third of a mile. I'll let Justin take it from here to show you how it did.
Alrighty, we're on the Varla Eagle One. I don't know if you can hear me over all this damn wind because it's going so fast. 24 miles an hour uphill. Cut down to 20, but I let off the throttle a little bit on that corner. I don't think anybody's up here, but I want to be careful. So we're gonna pass Michael walking up this bike. But this thing is crazy fast. So 24, 23, whew, through that section. It is definitely fun, it's a thrill, but you gotta be careful and hold on for dear life. So I'm 24, 26. It's got all the speed and then some that you need. And probably a little excess. Whew. Let's see what that result was.
I mean, you could kind of hear it from the giddiness in Justin's voice going up that hill on that thing. It was an absolute rocket. The Eagle One's official throttle test time was a record breaker. It climbed the hill in just 47 seconds with an average speed of 23.1 miles per hour. In a word, damn. So we've reviewed a handful of scooters on this channel before, but this is a first since standardizing our hill test the way that we do it now. So while it's a one of one and we can't compare it to other scooters, I can tell you that it's beaten out a few hundred e-bikes in terms of its overall climb time. Not only did it beat them out, but it wasn't even very close. As of this filming, our current number 2 up the hill was the dual motor Unirao Defender S e-bike. It had a throttle time of 55 seconds. So the Varla was a full 8 seconds faster. Now the current bronze medalist was the single motor Himiway Cobra Pro, which took 61 seconds on throttle. I'll make the analysis here pretty easy. I think it'll climb any hill you have, so if you have a lot of slopes to ride over, this will do a great job. There's maybe a question of if that is almost too fast on a hill, so just make sure you know where you're riding and keep it safe and level down on assistance if needed. But overall, our takeaway was that it's just a flat out impressive hill climber. All right, let's head out for one final ride so we can talk a little bit about the Eagle One 2.0's ride quality.
All right, so the big draw of the Eagle One version 2 is gonna be, of course, like the 2 kilowatts worth of motor power here. I mean, the thing that absolutely screams and flies out on the roads, can go up very steep grades, but I mean, in terms of just quality of life when riding the scooter, it actually does have a lot of good comfort elements. Now, Varla says it's going to fit people from 4'11" up to nearly 7 feet tall. I don't know anyone that tall to test that out, but I mean, I can see the adjustability being pretty easy. It's just a matter of if you got the handles right. In terms of this handlebar, I actually like this bar. It's a 720 millimeter kind of cruiser-esque looking handlebar. I like the gradual sweep back. It helps me feel a little bit more controlled than I do on just flat bar scooters. Of course, that very small front tire there. It's very easy to get it wiggling and feel like you're gonna lose control if you turn something too sharply, but this, I just feel like you get a little bit better control as it comes back to you. And then of course, a lot of the comfort can actually be found in the deck pad. I mean, this is, if I can get it on camera here, I mean, I'm feet together, wear size 12 wide shoes. I can go feet together on this 9-inch wide deck pad. It's got really good grip, good traction, so it doesn't feel like I'm gonna slip off or anything like that. And then of course, the suspension, the front and rear suspension, it's a really nice, it's got a good springiness to it. Like, there's a good bounce. This amount of springiness, if I were on like a bike, for example, I mean, that get a little bit of a pogo stick effect, feel like I'm gonna bounce off. But of course, where you're standing on the scooter here, if your knees are at the ready, you can kind of just ride and absorb it in a good way, and it's done a really good job of just making the bumps much more manageable. So the tires, of course, I mean, they are pretty good, I'd say, overall. I mean, they got a good amount of width to them, good stability. You, of course, have the ability to kind of, veer off into unpaved areas. You can go over dirt and rock, no problem. And I mean, I've had no issues with grip or traction. I've had a few wet roads lately I've been riding around on, and nothing too crazy to report as long as I kept the speed lower. And then let's talk the motor engagement. So I actually think that it does pretty good in the lower levels, just in getting that motor going. I've also noticed that it's a little bit more gradual. As you can see, I take my thumb off here. When I go to re-engage, it does not ramp me up quite as quickly. It actually kind of eases me back into it, and I do like that re-engagement. That's a really nice feature to have. The other things worth kind of noting overall would be in higher PAS levels. Right now I've got just the single motor on, but when you have both motors running, I mean, I do find that I wish I had a little bit more modulation in terms of how much I press in and what the speeds are at. Feels like it gets very, responsive to like these little micro adjustments of how hard I'm pressing in. Kind of feel the speed adjust. So unless I'm giving it full send, it feels like it kind of fluctuates a little bit more than I'm used to. And then of course, if you are going faster, just because I mean it's a hefty scooter, I believe nearly 85 pounds. If you're going in those mid to high 20s or 30 mile per hour range, it definitely kind of has an effect where once you let off the throttle, that the rolling ability of these tires is only like so much, and you kind of like feel that weight. It's almost like hitting the brake when you let go of it at those speeds. You kind of jet forward a little bit. I've gotten better at it over time as I've logged more miles on the scooter, but still just a thing to be aware of if you are looking at getting one of these. But I mean, overall, quality of life wise, I think you're seeing why this is Varla's top of the line scooter. There's a lot of good comfort. I think a pretty solid engagement overall. And then of course, it's really fast and really fun. So a lot to like about the Eagle One.
So I gotta say, it's overall a nice ride and delivers a lot, which is what you'd hope for considering how much you pay. Premium scooters with all that this one have are often in that $1,500 to $2,000 price range. So it might not be for somebody with light interest in riding an electric scooter, but I think its overall nice ride is befitting of the price. Lastly, let's talk extras and accessories. Now, in addition to all that it comes with, you can add on a rear rack or a rack and seat combo. There's even a scooter trailer you can grab if you're looking to haul some more gear or even a small pet with you. And I feel confident that there's plenty of power for handling any additional weight. For me, grabbing that second charger to get juiced up faster is what I'd personally be eyeballing, but there are a host of other small, practical upgrades to help you get even more out of your Eagle One riding experience. So if you've watched the whole review up till now, then you probably know this. The Eagle One version 2.0 lives up to its billing as a feature-packed and hyper-fast scooter. For myself, as a 230-pound rider, I could hit 37 miles per hour with ease on this thing, or I could slow things down and venture off into the dirt trails to do a little bit more exploring. And anybody will be hard-pressed to find a hill they don't fly up when leveraging the 3,600 peak watts and 72 newton meters of peak torque. This thing eats hills for breakfast. This scooter is not only fast, but it has a comfortable ride with its dual suspension and very capable tires. All the extra lighting you get is nice for added safety and is a playful expression of self when accessing its color mode. Outside of some fine tuning when it comes to the throttle's modulation or the battery's ability to show remaining charge, and maybe a faster included charger, there isn't a ton to gripe about here on the Eagle One version 2.0. So long as the 82 pounds of weight isn't a deterrent for you, or if you're okay with something that is, of course, very, very fast, there's no reason to really leave it off your short list of scooter considerations. Thanks for watching. If you found this review helpful, please like and subscribe. Please use our pricing links down below if you purchase an Eagle One to support us and our families, and head to our website's link for more details. I'm Griffin with Electric Bike Report, and I'll see you on the next review.